sales conversations make you feel awkward or pushy, it's time to ditch the outdated salesy strategies. Your guide, Nikki Rausch, will show you how to combine kindness with selling skills to meet your prospects where they are, and in the process, how to up-level your influence and income. Learn how to earn business easily and effortlessly. Here's Nikki.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to the Sales Maven Show. I'm your host, Nikki Rausch, here to offer you tips, strategies, and techniques to master your sales conversation. Today's episode is a solo episode. It's just you and me. We are here chatting about how to get noticed at your virtual events to attract your ideal clients. Now, many of us, you tell me, are you like this? This is me, attending a ton of our events virtually, whether it's our mastermind events, whether it is coaching calls, a program that we're taking part in, if it's an actual virtual networking event. But, this is the majority of our time now. We are doing virtually, at least those of us that do a lot of digital, like our businesses online, right? So there are some things that you can do to set yourself up for success to get noticed by your ideal client and ultimately bring them to you. So let's maximize your time. Let's get the most bang for your buck. If you're going to spend time on a Zoom or Google Meet or whatever event, let's maximize your time there. So there's a few things that I'm going to recommend here. Some will be really obvious and some maybe you hadn't thought of before, which I'm hoping to bring some new awareness so you can decide if you want to try some of these things out and see what happens. All right. So the first one, hopefully will be very obvious, is turn on your camera. When it's just a black screen with your name, very hard to attract your ideal clients. And I know this can be, I get so much pushback from people on this. I don't want to have my camera on. I don't want people to see what's, going on behind me, or I don't want people to know where I am, or I didn't put makeup on today, or whatever it is. But the fact of the matter is, if you're going to take time out of your day to be on an event, turn on your camera. Because just people being able to see you helps start to build that know, like, and trust, which leads to sales. Okay. So have your camera on. The next thing that I recommend, and this might seem a little counterintuitive, so you tell me, is to ask a question. It is so important from a visibility standpoint for people to get to hear your voice, for that connection to happen. When somebody is brave enough to answer or to ask a question at an event, a virtual event where a bunch of people are, it elevates your credibility in the room. You're willing to be vulnerable, you're putting yourself in a position, and also people can start to relate to the type of question that you're asking, or based on the question that you're asking, they learn something about your business. Now, before actually asking your question, I do recommend having just a one sentence, a one-liner, so that you give some context to your question. This is something in the Sales Maven Society, I always ask in our group coaching calls, prior to your question, please say what your business is and who you serve. It gives context for the other people in the room. Now, I know most of these Sales Maven Society members, I know their businesses. Many of them I know very, very well because they private coach with me as well. So I don't need the context to get the question and answer the question. The reason that I encourage them to do this actually is for their benefit and for the benefit of the other people in the room, because it does give them more visibility. So have your one-liner. It could be something as simple as, I'm so-and-so, or, thank you for taking my question. My business is this, and this is who I serve. It could just be that. And then you ask your question, right? So it doesn't need to be the long, your whole spiel about who you are and who your clients are. Just one line. My business is this. This is who I serve. My question is, right? That's it. By doing this consistently, you will find, especially if you're showing up to events multiple times with the same people, it starts to really allow people to get to know you in a way that they wouldn't if you're just sitting there with your camera off, or if you're just sitting there even with your camera on and not ever actually speaking up, or just putting like one or two comments in the chat from time to time. So ask a question. This is a strategy that I encourage my clients to use. And I have a few clients that have really taken this and run with it. One in particular, every single sales coaching call. So we do 2 coaching calls every month in the Sales Maven Society. Every single call that she's on, she asks a question. Now, she has tripled her business, and many in the last year, she's tripled her business. And many of her clients have actually come from being in the Sales Maven Society. And I have the great pleasure of working with a lot of my Sales Maven Society members privately as well, outside of just the group coaching calls. And she is almost consistently the one person that people bring up as feeling like they know in the group. And it really was this big shift for her to just be willing to ask a question. So she comes with a question every single time. Not that she comes to every single meeting, but when she's there, she has a question and she makes sure she gets it asked. And she always has her one-liner before she asks her question, so people know what she does. And inevitably, there's somebody on the call that's like, oh my gosh, I need you. Or, oh my gosh, I could refer somebody to you. So be willing to ask a question. It can make a big difference. Now, here's another thing that I recommend is when somebody asks a good question, or somebody is willing to be vulnerable in a group call like that, or in a setting like that, or when somebody says something, they want to celebrate a win, make sure that you send a comment to them. Have a supportive comment in the chat that you send, and, highlight that it's for them, so that when they're reading through the chat, it starts to build that like, oh, this person, went out of their way to extend themselves to say something nice to me. The other thing that you can do with this, and this is something that I use, is I will send a private message, because you can do that, right? In Zoom, you can send a private chat to somebody, and I will give them a very specific compliment. And I'll send it to them privately, because when somebody sees oh, this is a private message from Nikki, right now it's starting to build that deeper connection. And a couple of years ago, I started doing this because obviously doing more virtual stuff, and a lot of my coaching programs that I participate in and masterminds, we do them on Zoom. So there was a brand new group that I had started with, and every single time, we would get on calls, I would have one person that I would intentionally want to build deeper rapport with. Now, not with the oh, I want this person to come and become a client. It was more about, can I give this person a compliment, or can I do something to start to initiate conversation? So thinking back to this one situation, there was a woman there, and there was a lot going on around her when, with the group. And so I just sent a little private message with a compliment about how well she was managing, and how I admired how she was handling the situation around her during the call. And then she sent back, and we had a little bit of an exchange. And then, our connection continued to deepen. And she ended up referring me to an opportunity that year that I would have never been on this person's radar, but this person hired me, and it was an $11,000 opportunity. And I can track it back to starting a conversation with this woman just by sending her a private message through a compliment. And that was it. So these small little gestures when you're networking virtually allows for you to gain some credibility, demonstrate who you are, build that know, like, and trust, and ultimately attract people to want to engage, to get to know you better. They pay more attention when you ask questions, when you're sending them nice messages. They want to send you nice messages back. So all of this creates this great momentum. And if you're going to be on these calls anyway, might as well maximize the opportunities and earn some additional business. So I hope you found this helpful and you take some action on it. I'd love to hear, what do you do, or what are you going to do? And what results did you get by extending yourself in this way, and see what happens. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. Have a fantastic rest of your day. And we'll be back soon with another episode. Take care.
Thanks for listening to Sales Maven. Visit us online at yoursalesmaven.com/maven for more resources to boost your confidence and skills.
Are you ready to increase your confidence in your sales conversations? I have a gift for you that is going to show you exactly how to do that. It is my Closing the Sale ebook. It's all about leveling up your confidence, giving you language to use, how to seamlessly move somebody through the sales process. And you can get it right now by going to yoursalesmaven.com/maven. Go grab it.